Good evening and welcome to the August 16th, 2022 meeting of the Penfield Public Library Board of Trustees. This is our regularly scheduled meeting, and at the end of our discussions, we will go into executive session for a brief time and come back and adjourn this meeting. But now we'll go through the regular agenda that will begin with a review of the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to read them? Did anyone have any comments or revisions?
I'm good.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Rachel has moved. Is there a second? Jen, thank you. All in favor? Thank you. It's approved. This meeting is open to the public. It is available for viewing on Penfield television as well as on YouTube after the fact. And now we're going to hear from our town liaison, Linda Kohl, member of the town board.
Okay. Well, as you know, we're going through the budget season. We have a couple meetings before we have the tentative budget presented in September. Town level. This is, if you have received this, the Penn Rec brochure has come out. So starting on Monday, August 22nd, you can start signing up for different programs. And of course, on the front page, there we go, Halloween. So that's all, we're getting into the season, end of summertime. Our last concert of the season is tonight, a children's concert. And in September 10th will be the last concert at the amphitheater, and that'll be the Taste in the Blues and the chili cook-off. And if you have any recipes or want to spread the word about that, we're back to having a chili cook-off, which we haven't had since, I think, 2019, so it's exciting. I don't know, I think that's about it. We're busy, but we're busy finishing up. We had public hearings last week, and we had one on cannabis dispensaries, and only one person came to speak on it. And then we're still working on that policy, but we need to have it in place by September, because by New York State we'll be putting it into effect that we need to be prepared for I don't think it's going to be an onslaught, but be prepared for people requesting to open. So that was something last week. Is there any questions you might have?
Okay, thank you. Brett, were you able to reach out to the Friends?
Yes, I was able to connect with Mary, had a wonderful conversation with her, and really just wanted to have a voice here at the board, more like a liaison, just to kind of get some of their messaging out during this broadcast. And just as a reminder, the Friends of the Penfield Public Library is just a non-for-profit organization of volunteers dedicated to providing additional support to the Penfield Library for programs and customized requests. The big item that they have going on, and I know we've been talking about it the last couple of meetings, is their annual book sale. This is their 45th one. They will have 4 rooms of books. They still are taking donations, so please feel free to bring your used CDs, DVDs, puzzles, games, and books to them. This is the big fundraiser that allows them to do a lot of these customized customized requests and even programs. They've done so much for the community, and I want to make sure that we're making the community aware of it any chance we can. But that was the update from Mary so far.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Oh, thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
That is great. And now, Niraj, would you like to lead us through the finance reports?
Sure. I'll go right to the budget. These are numbers through July, so that's 7/12, so 58% done. We can look at our expenses. Our revenues they are already hit the account, so really there's no variances there. But let's look at the expenses. We go all the way down, it's about 46%, and that's certainly better than 58%. So if we drill down to the wages, are the most important line, I think. It has the most dollars. It's 52%. Again, that's better than our 58%. The biggest opportunity is total materials. That's coming in at 38%. So I suspect that we're going to order more direct books and recordings because those are at about 37%. Contractuals are about 40%. So I think there's going to be opportunity in materials and purchasing. Looking at the monthly balance sheet, nothing's really surprising. The copies fines were positive at the operating balance revenue, and our gift and memorial balance is largely unchanged from last month. A couple things that I did want to point out that I emailed was there are a few CDs, and I was interested just because interest rates are going up and everything. There are a few CDs that are maturing in the end of the year, one in December, one in end of November. So maybe in the next month or so, we should start talking about it, what we should do. I looked at the interest rates. Right now, CNB is offering like 1% on a promo CD, and Family First is about 0.2%. So there is a large difference between both of them right now. That's about it.
So, and the CDs expire when?
End of December, end of November.
So we have a month or two to
Yes.
watch the interest
Yes.
rate trend?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Can we make a motion to approve it?
Yes. So moved. Is there a second? Denise? Thank you. Rachel, do you have a personnel report?
We will have 2 openings on the board for next year, so we will, in our executive session, discuss our search committee that we'll have to form to find replacements.
Okay. Melissa, strategic planning.
I don't have any updates. I think we're just kind of waiting right now.
Well, I think that some of the things that Rhonda has done with the strategic plan have been really wonderful. She came to speak at the Rotary meeting and has had the strategic plan formatted into a nice 8.5 by 11 sheet that you can hand out, and it's easy to read and understand, and it kind of outlines exactly what we want. And it's also up on the web, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of looking at it and seeing what needs to keep it fresh. Bylaws and policy.
Yes. So last month, we had 5 policies that we presented and discussed. The collection development policy, the social media policy, the whistleblower policy, the fund balance policy, and the conflict of interest policy. Since our discussion last month, I have not gotten any additional feedback or anything on changes that people think need to be made to those. So as long as there's no further discussion, I think that we're ready to vote on approving those ones that we discussed last month.
I think we are too. My one question is, do you want to approve, can we approve them as a group, or do we need to approve them individually?
We should do each one.
Okay. Would you like to?
All right, so I will start with making a motion that we approve the collection development policy.
And Rachel will second that. All in favor? Great.
All right, next, I would like to make a motion to approve the social media policy.
I'll second.
And Jen will second that. All in favor? Okay.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the whistleblower policy.
Is it Judy seconds that? All in favor?
All right, next I will make a motion that we approve the fund balance policy.
Okay. Brett is the second on that. All in favor?
And finally, I move that we approve the conflict of interest policy.
All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, is there a second? I got carried away. Niraj seconds, and we have all voted. Thank you.
All right, and then for this month, there were 4 policies that were sent out for the board to review. The first is the display and posting policy. So if anyone has any thoughts or feedback on that, that was largely unchanged. The only addition was that we did add, similar to the collection development policy, we did add in a procedure if there was a concern about a posting or a display in the library posed by a community member. There is now a procedure in place for how the library will address that. But otherwise, did anyone have any thoughts or additions that they think need to be made to that?
No, I thought it was very thorough.
All right. Our next policy up for review is the staff and volunteer borrowing policy. Again, that was largely unchanged. Are there any?
Yes.
Yes.
I am perfectly fine with giving staff a break on fines. I think that any of us as board members or volunteers should set examples for the public, and we should pay our own fines. First of all, I don't think we should be bringing things back late, but I know that sometimes things happen, and we've all done it. I know I've lost a few children's library books along the way. They just disappeared into thin air and ended up buying them. But I think that my feeling is that we should really strive to not exempt ourselves from rules that we're asking other people, our fellow residents of the town, to obey or to follow. That's my personal feeling. Not everybody has to agree with me. So is there a different school of thought?
I would just say that we have many long-standing volunteers, some over 20 years, and they always did get this little perk. And we did add a clause in here saying that anybody who abuses the policy would no longer have this benefit. And I do watch it because we do, when a volunteer or a staff member or a board member comes in and says that they owe 50 cents, they'd like to have it exempt, I do get a notice of it. So I review the monthly exemptions, and I have not seen anybody taking advantage of the policy. I think it's a nice perk. I would love to keep it, but I understand your point of view.
I also think that we're volunteering, we're committing a lot of time, we're committing a lot of effort. It's a small perk. I'm for forgiving it if possible.
I realize it's a small perk, but I also think that if you are in line and you're saying, oh, I'm a trustee, I don't need to pay my fines, and the person behind you is there with 5 children and a pile of library books, and they have to pay fines, it doesn't seem fair. And
Well, aren't children's books for, I thought they weren't fining.
They're a lesser fine, but it's just the idea that it doesn't seem to be a fair way of treating. I'm more inclined to let the volunteers have the perk and not the board. And I realize that we volunteer our time.
Yeah.
Does it have to be either or can it just be up to the individuals?
We should
Like,
have a policy.
I will pay my fines, I believe that I should. But if you don't, can it be an either-or situation?
We would have to have a policy, and then it would be your choice whether or not to take advantage of this benefit.
So when I go to the library and I have $2.35 due, I can't say to the desk, I will pay my fines?
No, you can.
Yeah, you can.
I just paid
Yeah.
some fines the other day.
Right.
Yes, that's
I pay
fine.
my,
I always pay mine.
I do, but I think that's an individual thing,
I think this is actually a discussion that we have started anyway, because we really would like to ease the pain of fines sometime in 2023 and
Sure.
at least lower the fines that people are paying. It shouldn't be that people come to the library and have to pay significant amounts of money because they took out 25 books for their preschooler. It's something that we need to discuss in the future that is kind of related to this policy, but I don't think we're there yet because we've only just started that discussion. We have some time.
Do we have a limit for how much somebody can pay on a fine, or is it
Well, it's
ongoing?
in here, it's $15.
So it's
I
15.
saw $15, but I
It used to
didn't
be
know.
30, and the committee last month discussed lowering that because we did think $30 was excessive. So we halved it to 15. We thought that was a little bit more fair and would keep people from keeping the items out for too long.
And that
Which
was
is really
also one
our
of the things that
goal.
we discussed, and Rhonda said that she does get a notification when fines are waived, so it is monitored. So it's not just somebody, coming in every month and saying, I'd like my,
Fine,
$15.
Well, I saw $15 in the policy. I didn't know if that applied to us.
Is there a cap?
That is the cap.
That's the
We
cap.
won't erase fines that are higher than 15. It used to be 30. So we're coming closer to what you're saying, Barbara. But, we didn't go all the way.
I like the idea that if you're monitoring it, Rhonda, because I know that there was one time that I did reach out to Rhonda because I thought I renewed these 4 books that I had, and clearly I did not. And I was like, whoa, what happened? Because it was within my time for having them. Like I could, if I would have just hit the right button, it would have been fine. And she took care of it for me. And it would, and I can imagine other volunteers would probably have done the same thing. I don't make it a habit, but it was a mistake that I had made. So I don't know. I think that it was a nice thing that you did for me that time because it really was just something that was just a mistake that I didn't have it. That I wasn't taking advantage of the system. I don't think so,
Right.
and I haven't done the same. So
Right.
I haven't shown a pattern of that.
I know that all of you are volunteers, and I know how much time you give to the library. I will tell you that some of the volunteers who come into the library on a regular basis have given this time either twice weekly, 3 times weekly, for many, many, many years, and they feel almost as if they're staff members, but they're not paid. So it's just, I think it's a nice way of saying thank you. That's just my personal opinion. And for those who are listening from home, I mean, if anybody is in a situation where they cannot pay their fines, please come and talk to us. We will work out something for you. We don't want anybody to feel that they are not welcome at the library. We will come to some kind of solution for you.
And I think it is a regular thing at other public libraries as well, because
It is.
I have friends who volunteer at other libraries who also have the same. They have, well, now we don't have the holds
We don't have
fees
hold
anymore,
fees,
but
right.
that used to be
free.
free. Yeah, that was
Right.
free for them and overdues.
This is my 5th public library, and every library did have a policy similar to this. This is actually much stricter now that we've changed it than former policies I've worked with.
Is this something we should think about and discuss again next month, or do you want to send any comments to Megan?
I think
After you think about
it
this?
sounds like we should just approve it as is, but then, like you said, if you go into the library and you personally choose to, pay your fines, then pay your fines. But then it doesn't impact the other volunteers and, I don't know, keeps it simple.
We're not asking for approval today anyway.
No,
We're just reviewing
we're-
it.
Okay.
This won't be approved until next month.
Okay.
Right. Our next policy is the Internet Use and Safety Policy. This is the one that had the most significant revisions. There was quite a bit of procedure in there that was not actually policy that needed to be removed. There were also things like listings of exactly how many computers we had and how many, that obviously was not really policy. So that, all of that superfluous information was removed. We did also, the policy committee and Rhonda discussed, it had stated that children under the age of 8 needed adult supervision to use the computers in the main area of the library. We did go ahead and increase that to 10 because those computers are connected to the internet. And while, obviously there are, some, features in play, we want to make sure from a safety perspective that, people are age appropriate. So we did up that to children under the age of 10 must have adult supervision to use the computers elsewhere in the library building outside of the children's room. Obviously, the children's room, those computers are different, so children under the age of 10 could use those. Were there any thoughts or comments, discussion on anything in that policy? All right, and the last one was the fines and fee waiver policy. So this is in relation to fines for people who are not, under that staff or volunteer. And again, that's actually kind of going along with what Rhonda said, that, if somebody does have, fines and they need that, with extenuating circumstances and things like that. But there were no significant changes made to that policy. So were there any thoughts or discussion on that?
I have a couple of little grammatical things, and I wrote them on my copy, and I'll just give that to
Okay,
you.
yeah, I was going to say, if you want to send that to me, I can get that updated. In the meantime, between now and our next meeting, if anyone does have any additional thoughts or feedback or anything like that that they want to have added, changed to one of those policies or a discussion that we need to have, perfect, thank you, Barbara. You can go ahead and send that to me. Otherwise, we will have those policies ready to vote on next month. I
Okay,
believe that's all I have to say about policies.
very well
How many more
done.
do we have?
Oh,
Oh, we have a lot more?
Quite a few. Yes, you should expect for the next several
hundreds.
months to have 4 to 5
I'm just curious. It was just a curiosity
on the
question.
agenda. Silly
once we
Judy.
get back on schedule, we should have 1 or 2 a month.
Oh, well, it's fine. They're just a different kind of reading than you're used to doing, so.
Yes.
So luckily, most of them are pretty short and sweet, so.
Right.
Denise, do you have anything on communications? Okay. Which brings us up to Rhonda and the director's report.
Thank you. Just some highlights from the report. Barbara and I met with Marie and Eric Tate, who is the facilities director, I think his title is, to discuss the renovation of the Ruth Brayman Room and potential funding for the project, and we are working on that. Summer reading has been enormously successful, and we've gotten so much positive feedback I can't even begin to tell you. It's just lovely, but I wanted to highlight a few programs that were even more successful than we ever dreamt of. The staff members put together a Harry Potter birthday event on July 31st, and if you look at our Facebook account, you can see the dramatic transformation of our building into Hogwarts. It was just amazing. 140 people came, and our team of youth services staff just did an incredible job with the building. You walked in and it felt like Hogwarts. It was just wonderful, and the pictures of very happy people. So thank you to the staff. We did have a meet and greet with Red Wings players on August 9th. And the children's librarians invited all of the rec center camp members to that. So we collaborated with them on this activity, which was a win-win for everybody. 170 people enjoyed that. We had the end of summer reading foam party just last week, and about 200 people came for that. It was just basically 2 big bubble machines that just kept shooting out a lot of bubbles, and the kids were completely covered, and some of our staff members as well, with bubbles. And it was really fun. I do want to give a shout out to the Little League people who let us do it on the Little League field, because we needed some water, which we didn't realize when we booked it. So we kind of moved over a couple of 100 feet, and everybody was really happy. But just really great programs. Our staff are working on innovative, collaborative programs, and we're just going to continue to do more and more of these kinds of activities for our community. I did meet with the Penfield Rotary Club on August 9th, and that was really fun and a great opportunity to talk about how great our library is and our strategic plan and where we want to go in the future. We've been to lots of classes, and I list them here. We're sorry to see Mary Catherine. How do I say that, Deanna? Petria?
Hi.
Well, if you know Mary Catherine, who works at Circulation, you'll be sorry to see her go, but she took a teaching position. She's a lovely, lovely person. And that's pretty much it, but everything is going very well this month.
How was your trip to the Henrietta Library and the Chili Library?
It was so inspirational. That's really what it was. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. I took 4 librarians Because, as we discuss our strategic plan and our goal of having a modern library facility, we felt it was important to look at some of the newer libraries in the Rochester area. And so we went to the two newest, which are the Chyler Library and the Henrietta Library, both very, very different buildings, both same architect, and yet completely different.
Oh, interesting.
Because I know the directors, we were able to have kind of like a tour within and see every nook and cranny and hear the good and the bad of each project, which I think is also helpful. It gave us some wonderful ideas. And the staff came to me the next day and said, where can we go next? But I think we need to form a plan first before we keep visiting other libraries. But it was a lot of fun.
And so the renovation of the Ruth Bremen Room, did you get positive results from that meeting in the?
It has not been announced yet.
We're expecting.
We're very hopeful.
We're hopeful. We're expecting positive results.
Okay.
And we'll talk about details when we have in our executive session.
I had a question, Rhonda, about summer reading. Why Penfield is one of the only ones that limits it to ages or grades K through 6.
And I spoke to librarians about that. I had heard that from a couple of parents. We're going to figure out something that will allow younger children to participate next summer.
Or all ages. I think
Yes,
that's right.
absolutely. Well, we do have teens. We do have adults.
Oh, okay.
We were missing those younger than 5.
Okay.
And we will work something out, yes.
I have a question. There are the bookmarks for Hoopla. Is there any thought of having a session on how Hoopla works? Like how do you do this? How do you hook it up? Is it just a streaming service like anything else?
It is a streaming service like anything else, and those kinds of technology, they're just hard to do a class on because people have their own brands and streaming devices, so it's hard to have like a structured class. So we still do have the technical desk where anybody can come and say, this is what I have, and one of our librarians will walk that person through it. Perhaps it's time to put together, now that you're asking me this, perhaps it's time to put together better communication about the product and how people can find their answers. We can do that this month. I will do that.
I just think it would be helpful for those of us who are technically challenged.
We do get questions at the reference desk. People will come in all the time and say, I have a Roku and I have an old Zenith, what could I do? And we look it up and we figure it out for that individual's equipment. But yes, maybe we can do a better job. It's a great idea.
Yes, when I'm standing there with the 3 remotes. I need a cheat sheet or something.
Yes, we can do something like that.
I think that we covered all the policies under the that are listed in new business, and the Ruth Bremen Room project we will talk about in our session in the conference room. Did you want to talk about the NYLA conference?
The NYLA, New York Library Association Conference, their annual conference is coming up. It's November 2nd to 5th. It's in Saratoga Springs. I would like to go, and I would like to bring possibly 2 staff members with me. So we're talking, let me get the prices. Round trip mileage plus tolls is about $275. 2 hotel rooms for 3 nights would be about $1,500, and $270 per librarian would be about $810. We're talking about $2,500 if 3 of us go to this conference. And I'm asking for 3 of us to go because the former director did not allow staff members to go. So it's been a very long time since Penfield librarians have gone to a formal conference. Conferences can not only inspire staff members to do better jobs and to be more innovative and to provide better customer service, they are a great way to get the education credits that they need and to meet others who are in similar situations personally, one-to-one. So conference is not a vacation by any means. It's absolutely exhausting, I can tell you that, because we go from morning till night, and I make sure that staff members go to every possible activity, including 3 classes a day, plus whatever free lunches or free evening parties we can get invited to. And then I will ask the people who come with me to come to this board meeting and tell you what they learned. And in addition, I will ask the staff members who come with me to present at a staff meetings, so that everybody kind of shares the knowledge that we've gained. So I can whittle this down. If you think it's too expensive, maybe just 2 of us can go. I just felt that it's been a long time, and it would be something that many of our staff members really would benefit from.
That's a great
Well,
idea.
I'm in total agreement on the value of a conference for staff, and the fact that they can be inspirational as well as educational and so forth. I just was wondering, in view of the fact that so much of the budget is, like you're at 38%, 39%, if you could take some of the funds out of that.
We can do that.
Is that a possibility?
Absolutely. And I don't know if a trustee member is interested in going, but trustees are $140 for the entire conference. Plus, I don't think we can take the hotel from the budget, but I think you'd enjoy it. It's really so much fun. I will tell you, I've been to many conferences from NYLA and other organizations, and I never regret going. It's always worth it.
Well, I think that would be great if anyone on the board wants to go. I think that the board would pay, we would pay for the board, for board members who wanted to go. Sometimes this conference is in Buffalo or Syracuse, and it has been in Rochester. And I know the year it was in Rochester, I went, and I thought it was really a wonderful place, and there were very, very informative sessions, and it turned out I knew people who were there. So it was great. So I'm glad that you're going to be taking a couple of people. If the budget becomes a problem, let us know. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
that we can come up with some funding for that.
Thank you.
Is there any other business? New business? Any old business? No? The claims payment, Melissa, that was you this month?
Yep. I move that we approve the vouchers in the amount of $20,297.03.
A second.
Thank you, Jen. All in favor? Okay, and next month, it will be Megan. And at this point, I would like to adjourn this part of the meeting so we can go into executive session, and we will be back after we've had our discussion. Thank you. Thank you very much for your patience. Is there a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Melissa. Is there a second? Thanks, Jen. All in favor? This meeting is adjourned. We'll see you in September.